primary. You said you wanted to spend as much as 70% of your time down there, but you haven't managed to do that.
More like 90%.
More like 90%? How's the reception been?
Yeah.
And do you think that you're going to be able to close the gap?
First of all, I don't think there's a gap. Pretty clearly, these polls were skewed in the past, and they're skewed right now because they can't determine the turnout. And I wish that you know, these guests that you have on would tell people that. The guy from Siena, Greenberg, he has an example just a month and a half ago. He had us down 1 point 2 days before the primary, and 2 days later we won by 26 points. How does he answer for that? You know, and the guy yesterday, Carroll from Quinnipiac, how do they answer for that? All that confidence. They're all in Andrew's camp, which is very obvious. They're liberals. I think that's one of the questions you should ask them.
Okay.
And in the future, after we win this thing, I think you should give less credibility to what is going out.
Well, we will know
polls.
We will know soon enough because the election is right around the corner. I also want to ask you:
Right.
Are you in fact planning on spending the full $10 million that you thought that you would at the outset of this race?
More than that is already in it. Yes.
More than $10 million. So when this is all said and done, and we
Yeah.
look at the filings, we're going to see how much that have you been spending.
We have a lot more than 10 million into it. Yes, we do.
Okay. We got some bad news this morning, obviously, from Governor Patterson. He said that 898 people would be laid off before the end of the year. I wonder what your reaction is to that, and also how many people you think you might have to lay off. I saw you speaking last night to our sister station, New York One, about some vast layoffs that you would like to do in terms of consolidating agencies.
See, I don't think it was bad news. I think Patterson is finally figuring it out. The people of the state of New York want lower spending, they want lower taxes. And he's finally getting it. So he's laying off some people. The good people that are being laid off now and that I will be laying off in the future will have the first path back into government as the jobs and positions open through attrition. We're not looking to hurt anybody, but we're looking to help the taxpayer. And we know that the highest taxes in America, right here in New York State, and the highest spending at $7,211 per person by 60% over the national mean is what's debilitating to our businesses in retention of jobs and creation of private sector jobs. And yes, we're going to have to give up jobs. Jobs are not sacred. If they're effective, we're going to find ways of making them more effective. If they're unnecessary, we're going to get rid of the positions because the people expect a streamlined government doing their work and not the work of lobbyists and not the work of a corrupt government that looks just to put people into work in order to keep up its progressive growth and debilitate and force jobs out of the state of New York.
But how many people how many people do you think you'd have to cut? Because, you know, of course, civil service positions can't just be cut willy-nilly. It's not possible. There are rules that you have to go through.
Absolutely, and we'll abide by all the rules, and we will take out positions in every agency. In some places, we're going to close down agencies. We're going to bring sensibility and common sense back to government.
But do you have a specific plan for that? Because last night you spoke about a plan that you would be releasing to reporters, and I haven't yet seen it, so I'm just curious where that might be.
Well, we're not releasing any specifics beyond what we've said already because we're not going to start a feeding frenzy on the line items. But you can rest assured that we've had experts looking at it. They're very confident in our numbers. And yes, there will be thousands of people laid off in the public sector.
You also spoke at one point about a 20% spending cut and a 10% tax cut, but then seemed to go back on that a bit and say that this was not actually possible of accomplishing in a single year.
No, what I explained was we will accomplish a 20% spending cut. Some of the spending that we're going to excise from the government will take a period of time to phase in, but we're cutting enough so that we will accomplish a 20% goal by during that first year. That was the press taking us out of context again.
Okay, so just to be clear, the 20% spending cut you still do believe is possible
We
in a
will
single
cut
year?
spending by 20%, which will give us the I believe it's 4.4 billion necessary to do the tax cuts, and it will give us the 8.5 billion built-in deficit that they're giving to us for next year.
There's another story today in the New York Times regarding your family, and it has to do with a house, I believe, that your aunt owned.
Yeah, we're not talking anymore about, Liz, we're not talking anymore about the gutter politics that Andrew and his cohorts want to talk about. Well, if you want to talk about the issues, I'd be happy to do so.
So, okay, so you're not going to speak to that story or respond to it at all?
No, it's just one gutter article after another coming out of the Post, the News, the Times. They even went to City Hall to find out if my dog had a license. It's getting a little ridiculous, isn't it?
He does have a license, though, right?
Yes, he does have a license. Yes, he's properly licensed. He was a little bit upset about it, and he's been home now. He's been down in the dumps. He thinks that they're now going to try to interview the squirrel in the backyard that he's been chasing around for the past couple of years.
Let me ask you then, if you would respond to the ad. There's been a bit of an ad war. You started with one that sought to ask why Andrew Cuomo had not been going after people like Andrew Farkas and Steve Ratner, the Obama administration former car czar, and he responded.
That was only the
Well, hold on. He responded with an ad that went after your campaign manager, some of your consultants, and also the state GOP chairman for being Richard Nixon's son-in-law.
It's really interesting, isn't it? He's going after Russ Thompson, my good friend, because the guy had a DWI 30 years ago, and he's been in AA ever since. He should be embarrassed. They should be pinning a medal on the man. And as for the corruption in his world, my God, he doesn't seem to send any of his cronies to jail. What deal did he just cut with Hevesy? He took a plea because he wanted the great political announcement that he's this great prosecutor. But in the course of giving that plea, he promised Hevesy no jail time. A man that stole millions of dollars from the New York State people, and he promised him no jail time. That's not good prosecution. You
don't think Alan Hevesy, he did lose, of course, this is the second public corruption felony that he's actually pleaded to. The first time he lost his job. I mean, you don't think that what has happened to him up to this point has been
No, I think
sufficient?
the people in New York State want him in jail. He stole from the people, and if you're going to set an example, you're going to send these people to jail. He gave Pedro Espada a walk. How about Rangel? Rangel evaded $500,000 in income tax, and Cuomo didn't indict him. He didn't bring him in front of a grand jury. He went to his party, and he got caught sneaking out the back door.
Well,
Andrew is complicit in the criminal. Andrew is complicit in the corrupt government that we have in Albany today.
Okay,
and it's got to stop.
Andrew Cuomo, though,
next Tuesday.
Brought multiple civil lawsuits against Pedro Espada and says that his office doesn't have the jurisdiction for criminal charges. Are you not buying that? Really?
But he also, what did he do with Steve Ratner? The guy that gave the bribe, he gave a walk, he gave him immunity. The briber, the wealthy briber who was a Democratic fundraiser, he gave him a walk, and he puts the brother-in-law in jail, the guy that took the $88,000 bribe.
Well, we don't know this yet, though. Don't we not know this yet? Because
we know that he gave him immunity. He can't prosecute him anymore, Liz. Can't prosecute him. He gave him immunity.
But there are negotiations that are still going on as to a settlement.
Negotiations on the civil case. He did the same thing with Andrew Farkas back at HUD. All right, Andrew Farkas ripped the government off for millions and millions of dollars, and Andrew said, we will not prosecute him criminally. We're going to settle for $7.4 million. And oh, by the way, Andrew Farkas can continue to do business with HUD. 5 days after that settlement, Andrew Farkas sold his empire for $903 million, okay, making huge profits. And Andrew got his payoff a little bit later on when he took $1.2 million in a consulting fee from Andrew Farkas.
Okay,
Stop
let me ask
hiding
you
the
this,
truth.
because
You have to tell
unfortunately
the truth.
we're out of time, but I want to ask you this. Do you have at this point, because we're heading right into the end, right up to the wire, do you have any regrets at all about the way that you've run this campaign?
No, I don't, because I'm human. I'm just like any other Joe or Josephine out there from New York State that wants to do the right thing. I want to bring a grounded government, a government that is going to, that people can trust, a government that's going to do the responsible thing, a government that's going to promote jobs in the private sector and not in the public sector, and a government that's not corrupt. And I had enough of listening about for Ed Koch. Ed Koch is a lobbyist today. He's not a great statesman. He's worn out. He's become a lobbyist, and he's all about money. He gave Andrew Cuomo a walk on that agreement. Yes, maybe Cuomo sent a letter at the time that he wasn't a candidate. But what about since he has become a candidate? Why didn't he demand it? And Sheldon Silver, his big buddy, all right, he's given him a walk on that commitment. He took a commitment from everybody else about the redistricting.
So.
But no, Ed Koch is in bed with all of them.
So no regrets from you. You know, just in parting, I saw a poll, a local poll in Erie County that has you beating Andrew Cuomo by a lot. So if this doesn't work out for you, and I'm not saying that it will or it won't, because we'll see. Hold on, we'll see on Tuesday. I'm curious, if you don't win, would you run for local office in Erie County?
Well, no, we are going to win, Liz, and the people of the state of New York are going to come out in droves to vote for us because they want a government of the people and by the people, and that's what they taught us in school, didn't they?
So you're not going to
want to be able to tell their children that they can live the American dream right here in New York State, and that's what we're going to give them.
So you won't entertain the possibility of maybe running for something in Erie County if this doesn't work out?
This is the first and last time I will run for public office. I've said it how many times? I'm running only for 4 years. That's it. I will go in, I'll straighten out the ship of state, and then I'll hand it off to somebody that is capable of carrying on the good work that we start.
Okay, well, Carl Paladino, we will be seeing you on Tuesday night, election night, and I want to thank you very much for coming by to speak with us.
Thank you, Liz.